Slave Mary of Louisiana, the Mardi Gras legend of 1856. The year was 1856. Louisiana glittered with wealth, with music, with the gold of plantations and the fever of Mardi Gras. To the eye of the visitor, it was paradise. But paradise, when you looked closer, was built on chains. Slavery was the foundation of Louisiana. Beneath the grand houses with their marble staircases and crystal chandeliers were lives of exhaustion, pain, and silence. The enslaved people of Louisiana labored from dawn to dusk and beyond, never owning their bodies, their children, or their futures. For them, Mardi Gras was not a holiday. It was another day of service. Another day of labor. Another day of pretending not to hear the laughter that rose from the master's tables. And in that hidden world of smoke and shadows, we find her. Mary. Mary was no queen in silks, no mistress of the ballrooms. She was a cook. A woman of the kitchen. Her world was fire and grease, knives and pots, the endless turning of meals she would never taste. Day after day, she bent over boiling pots, her face slick with sweat, her back aching with pain. The kitchen was her prison. But it was also her battlefield. She was said to be quiet, her face expressionless as she obeyed. But behind her silence burned something more. Resentment. Anger. A fire that even the masters could not see. It was Mardi Gras night, when her story truly began. The city was alive. Masks glittered, laughter spilled from balconies, music filled the air. But Mary did not see the parades. She was in the kitchen. The great pot hissed on the fire, its bubbling grease spitting like a living thing. The smell was heavy, clinging to her skin, her clothes, her hair. And perhaps, in that moment, as she stirred the pot, she thought of more than food. Perhaps she thought of chains. Perhaps she thought of the countless times she had been struck, humiliated, silenced. Perhaps she thought of freedom, a word she had never been allowed to speak. The legend says that on that night, Mary snapped. Some say her mistress entered the kitchen, her children trailing behind, their laughter sharp and cruel. Some say Mary had waited, her eyes fixed on the boiling pot. Others whisper that she struck them down first, her fury spilling over like the oil itself. The details change, but the image remains, a pot boiling. Screams swallowed by steam. A silence that followed. Did it happen? No one can prove it. No trial records survive. No names of the mistress or her children appear in the books. Some historians argue the entire tale was born from fear, a ghost story crafted by slaveholders to terrify the enslaved. See what happens if you resist, they might have said, their voices shaking with hidden dread. But legends do not survive without reason. And so Mary became a symbol. For some, she was a monster, the woman who turned a kitchen into a chamber of horror. For others, she was a hero, the woman who dared to fight back, who dared to imagine a world without chains, even if only for a single night. To understand why Mary's story lingers, you must understand the time. This was not a South at peace. This was a South on edge. In 1831, Nat Turner had led an uprising in Virginia, striking terror into slaveholders across America. In 1811, here in Louisiana itself, enslaved men had risen up in one of the largest revolts in U.S. history, marching with cane knives and fire, declaring freedom as they advanced. And beyond the American shores, the story of Haiti burned like a beacon. In 1804, enslaved men and women had risen, fought, and overthrown their masters, declaring independence. These stories traveled. They spread in whispers, in songs, in prayers murmured at night. Slaveholders feared them. Enslaved people clung to them as proof that chains could break. And so perhaps Mary's story was born from that same soil. A seed of rebellion, watered by fear, growing into legend. Imagine it. An enslaved cook, standing in her smoky kitchen, the laughter of Mardi Gras drifting through the windows, the pot boiling at her side. Imagine her lifting her head, her eyes meeting those of her mistress. Imagine her deciding, in that moment, that she would be silent no longer. The truth may never be known, but the legend lives. And legends are powerful. For those in chains, the story of Mary may have been a spark of hope. A whispered reminder that even in the darkest kitchen, even in the hottest fire, the human spirit could rise. That silence could break. That fear could become defiance. For the masters, her story was something else. A warning. A nightmare. Proof that the people they tried to dehumanize were, in fact, human, capable of rage, of thought, of vengeance. And so Mary exists in the space between. Between fear and hope. Between truth and legend. Between history and myth. Some say she vanished after that night, never seen again. Some say she was executed in secret, her name erased from records. Some say she escaped, melting into the city's shadows, her story whispered in secret among those who longed for freedom. But no matter what happened, her story survived. Because in every age of chains, stories are the weapons of the powerless. They carry hope. They carry fear. They carry truth, even when wrapped in legend. Mary's story is not just about boiling oil. It is about the fire of resistance. It is about the human will to rise, even when crushed. It is about the haunting truth that even in the kitchens of bondage, rebellion simmered. And so when you walk through the streets of New Orleans during Mardi Gras, when you hear the drums and the laughter, remember. Remember that beneath the masks, beneath the music, there were chains. Remember that not every story was one of joy. Some were stories of silence. Some were stories of fire. And one of those stories was Mary's. Was she real? Was she myth? Was she vengeance wrapped in a tale told to scare or inspire? Perhaps we will never know. But perhaps that is the point. Legends survive because they speak to something deeper than fact. They speak to fear, to hope, to the part of us that longs to believe that even in the darkest times, someone dared to resist. And so the legend of slave Mary of Louisiana endures. Not as a neat page in a history book, but as a whisper. A shadow. A fire that will not die. And so, the legend of Mary lingers. A whisper from the kitchens of Louisiana, a fire that history tried to erase, but could never silence. If this story moved you, if it made you think, then join me here on Chronicles Unbound. There are so many more hidden stories, untold voices, and forgotten legends waiting to be uncovered. So please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this video with others who love history as much as you do. Your support helps keep these stories alive, and together, we can give voice to those the world tried to forget. Until next time, this is Chronicles Unbound, where the past is never truly gone.